When Braun self-proclaimed himself as the GOAT, I think right there was the starting point. Think about the greatest player of all time, it's still LeBron James in my eyes.
Introduction. Let's be clear. The moment LeBron James opened his mouth and said the words, "I'm the GOAT," he didn't just throw down a challenge. He declared war on the man who built the throne. He didn't wait for the culture to crown him. He didn't let the game speak for itself. He took the crown while the king, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, was still sitting on it. That wasn't confidence. That was arrogance. And in that moment, LeBron James may have done something no other player in NBA history has dared to do. He lost MJ forever. This isn't about stats. It's not about rings. This is about respect. And LeBron James just disrespected the code. You can break records. You can win MVPs. You can even dominate an era. But there's one thing you don't do. You don't call yourself the greatest while the greatest is still alive, watching, and undefeated in the finals. What we're witnessing isn't just a generational debate. It's a complete collapse of a legacy bridge that LeBron could have walked, but instead, he burned it, with his own words. And if you think Michael Jordan didn't feel that flame, you're fooling yourself. Because this wasn't just about being great. This was about crowning yourself king in a kingdom built by someone else. And that move may have cost LeBron something no stat sheet can measure: Michael Jordan's respect.
When Braun self-proclaimed himself as the GOAT, I think right there was the starting point.
Kendrick doubles down on the idea that the entire LeBron versus Jordan debate did not begin with fans or analysts.
There are certain rules in sports, unspoken, but sacred. You can chase greatness. You can flirt with immortality. But the one thing you don't do, you don't announce yourself as the ultimate, especially when the man who defined the ultimate is still right there, watching in real time. And yet, that's exactly what LeBron James did. He stood in front of the cameras, chest out, eyes locked, and declared himself the best to ever play the game. Not after a farewell tour. Not in retirement. Not in reflection. No. He said it while still chasing rings, while the shadow of Michael Jordan loomed large over everything he did. That moment, that wasn't a victory lap. That was a full-on coronation, self-appointed, self-serving, and stunningly tone-deaf. Let's not sugarcoat this. LeBron didn't just make a statement. He sent a message. Not to the fans. Not to the analysts. To his airness. He grabbed the mic and told the world, forget the legacy. Forget the 6 for 6. Forget the global icon status. I've already passed him. It was bold. It was loud. And it was, frankly, reckless. Because here's what LeBron either didn't understand, or worse, didn't care about. You don't build a legacy by taking the throne. You earn it by being handed the crown, by the very people and legends who held it before you. Instead, he bypassed the process. He declared the debate over, and that's exactly when the divide began. Michael Jordan didn't need to respond. He never does. His silence is louder than words. And in that silence, you could hear it all. You don't get to skip the line. You don't get to erase history. You don't get to name yourself king while the empire I built still stands. Now, let me be crystal clear. This isn't about whether LeBron has a case. This is about the timing, the delivery, the arrogance. You don't call yourself the GOAT while you're still in the fight, especially when the man you're claiming to surpass already walked through fire, already conquered the league, and already became a global symbol without ever saying a word. LeBron's proclamation wasn't just a declaration. It was a decision. And with that decision, he may have closed the door on any chance of being embraced by the very man whose footsteps he claimed to follow. This was not the moment LeBron elevated himself. This was the moment he divided the basketball universe. And maybe, just maybe, it was the moment he made himself a legend to his fans. But a stranger to Jordan, forever.
The debate all day. Some people could go with Jordan, some people could go with Braun. Like I told Molly and Stephen A. Before, it's your preference.
Stephen A. Smith enters the conversation with a deeper perspective. He believes this isn't even about whether LeBron and MJ have a friendship.
Here's what drives me insane. LeBron James stepped into the arena acting like basketball royalty, but he forgot one thing. Real kings never crown themselves. You want to know why Michael Jordan will always be the standard? Because he never had to say it. He earned it, in sweat, in scars, in silence. He didn't ask for a title. He didn't demand respect. He took it, game by game, year by year, moment by moment. And while Jordan was out there slashing through double teams, shattering dynasties, and turning basketball into religion, LeBron was busy building a brand. MJ's throne wasn't built on highlight reels or handshakes. It was forged in grind, not gloss. Let's get this straight. In Jordan's universe, talk is cheap. The game. That's the gospel. He didn't need hashtags. Didn't need podcasts. Didn't need to remind you he was special, because you felt it every time he touched the ball. And that's the real issue. LeBron's declaration wasn't just premature, it was offensive to the code. To a generation that saw Jordan claw his way to the top without shortcuts or super teams, that moment was like watching a student interrupt the professor mid-lecture and say, "I already know more than you." It was brash. It was loud. It was everything Jordan never was. This is why MJ loyalists will never hand over the crown. Not now, not ever. Because LeBron's path was different. He changed cities, teamed up with rivals, orchestrated narratives. He was the architect of his own empire. Impressive, yes, but also polarizing. Meanwhile, Jordan stayed put. One team, one mission, one goal. No exit strategies. No PR spins. Just ruthless domination, one broken opponent at a time. You think Jordan ever had to convince people he was the best? He didn't need a microphone. He had 6 fingers that did the talking. And here's the ultimate irony. While LeBron was chasing greatness on the court, he forgot that off the court, humility is part of the game too. Jordan wasn't just dominant. He was mysterious, mythical, untouchable. That's what made him larger than life. LeBron, for all his talent, made the mistake of trying to narrate his own legacy, and in doing so, he exposed himself to criticism Jordan never had to face.
Why?
Because MJ never gave the world a quote to pick apart. He gave them rings. And when you step up and announce to the world that you've passed the greatest to ever do it, while that man is still standing, still influencing the culture, you're not honoring him. You're challenging him. That wasn't respect. That was a message. Move aside, old man. This is my league now. And to that, Jordan responded the only way he knows how. With distance. With silence. With cold indifference. Not because he's petty, but because he doesn't do self-promotion. He doesn't trade in soundbites. He lets his resume do the talking. You want to live in Jordan's world? Then you've got to play by Jordan's rules. And rule number 1, you let the people call you the greatest, not yourself.
And a lot of this, for his Jordan and Bron relationship, is self-inflicted by LeBron. Think about the greatest player of all time. It's still LeBron James in my eyes.
Jordan's living his best life, and they're not enemies. But it's not about whether or not they have a relationship or not.
Stephen A. Smith raises a sharp observation that deserves deeper exploration.
Let me paint the picture for you, because this is where everything flips. LeBron didn't just miss a chance to be embraced by Jordan. He never even tried to be mentored by him. You want to know what separates legends from immortals? Gratitude, deference, humility. Every great that came after the last great paid their dues. Kobe. He studied MJ's footwork like sacred scripture. He called him. He learned from him. He respected the hierarchy. But LeBron, he walked through the door like he already owned the house. No phone call. No olive branch. Just swagger, headlines, and a billboard that called him the chosen one before he even played a single NBA minute. That's the problem. It wasn't just about what LeBron did, it was about what he didn't do. He never reached back to the man who made basketball into what it is today. Jordan could have been a guide, a mentor, even a quiet ally. But that connection never happened, not because MJ wasn't open to it, but because LeBron never acknowledged the bridge before trying to fly over it. You don't get to bypass the senseis and still expect to be respected. You can dominate on the court, sure. But relationships, that's where legacies get stamped in gold. LeBron's path. It was lonely by choice. He built his circle, crafted his empire, protected his image. He wasn't looking for advice. He was looking for control. And while Jordan sat back, silent, focused, protective of the game's soul, LeBron flooded the airwaves. Controlling the headlines. Framing the narratives. He became the CEO of his own legend. But let me tell you something. Legacy isn't something you manage. It's something you earn through reverence. The truth is, this entire story could have been different. LeBron could have humbled himself early, picked up the phone, and said, "Mike, you paved the way. Teach me how to walk it." He never did. And you think Jordan didn't notice? Jordan's whole life is built on memory, grudges, slights, moments no one else remembers. And here comes the next heir to the throne, making no gesture, no outreach, just planting his flag in the middle of the mountain like he climbed it alone. MJ wasn't just disappointed. He was disrespected. Because in Jordan's world, there's a code. You honor those who came before you. You don't mimic them, you thank them. You don't compete with ghosts, you study them. And you never ever act like you built the game when the blueprints still have someone else's name on them. So let's talk about this so-called non-existent beef. No, there's no public feud. No slander. But what there is silence. And that silence, it's deafening. It's the kind that says, "You didn't want my wisdom. You didn't want my help. You wanted my throne." That's why they've never been close. Not because Jordan is threatened, but because he was never asked to be part of LeBron's rise. And when you shut out the architect of greatness, don't expect a handshake when you start hanging banners. LeBron made a decision to walk his own road, with his own people, his own rules. But in doing so, he lost something even more powerful than public praise. He lost the chance to stand shoulder to shoulder with the very man he was compared to his entire career. Not as a rival, not as a threat, but as a brother in greatness. And that, my friends, is the tragedy of this saga.
You're LeBron James. You came into the league wearing number 23. Now, eventually, it was to be the GOAT and to be supplanted.
Continuing his argument, Stephen A. makes an even deeper claim.
And in those early years, when you had proclaimed yourself to embrace these challenges, but then you couldn't win before departing Cleveland.
As the dust settles on all the heated debate, Stephen A. offers a sobering final thought.
This isn't about who's more talented. It's not about points, trophies, or win percentages. It's about something far deeper and far more permanent. This is about what was never built. And now, it's too late. LeBron James could have been something greater than just a generational icon. He could have been linked forever with the most legendary figure the sport has ever known. But he didn't want a bond, he wanted a throne. And in chasing that crown on his own terms, he slammed shut the only door that ever truly mattered. Let me say this clearly. Being admired is easy. Being welcomed by the greats, that's sacred. That's rare. That's earned through humility, not headlines. And when LeBron decided to script his own coronation, he didn't just make a bold claim, he burned a bridge made of history and respect. Now, the gate to MJ's inner circle? Bolted shut. You think this is just about competition? You're dead wrong. This is about tradition. About ritual. About the way greatness was passed down, through honor, not through microphones. Jordan didn't become a god by declaring himself one. He became untouchable because others gave him that title. They witnessed the pain, the sacrifice, the obsession, and they knew, deep in their souls, they were watching something the game might never produce again. LeBron didn't wait for that moment. He grabbed the megaphone. He looked the world dead in the eye and shouted, "It's already me." And in that instant, he forfeited something Michael would never give back. Validation. This isn't hate. This isn't jealousy. This is the cost of skipping the steps. Jordan didn't reach the mountaintop with fanfare. He reached it alone, with bloodied hands and no safety net. He clawed through legends. He didn't team up. He didn't run. He stayed and conquered. And that difference in mindset, it's everything. Because here's what LeBron never understood. You can't be embraced by the throne if you're too busy building your own. Now, let's go deeper, because this is the part no one wants to say out loud. There is no repairing this. The damage isn't surface level, it's foundational. Because once you crown yourself king while the old one still reigns, you're not asking for respect. You're demanding the kingdom without earning the crown. Jordan saw that, felt that, and walked away. Not because he's bitter, but because he's protective of what greatness should look like. He handed it to Kobe. He would have handed it to LeBron. But you can't receive what you never reached for. And that's why the bond never happened. The torch never passed. The embrace never given. So here we are, all these years later. LeBron will finish his career with mind-bending stats, a mountain of accolades, and a level of fame reserved for legends. But he'll never have the one thing his legacy needed most. Michael Jordan's blessing. Because that window, that moment to show reverence and receive something priceless in return, it's gone. And all the applause in the world can't replace the silence from the one man who made greatness matter.